Great. Good afternoon. Thank you, Jeremy. I'd like to thank everyone today for joining our webinar. We're really excited to present a new program for AEP Ohio's Energy Efficiency and Peak Demand Response portfolio. It's called the Efficient Financing for Business Program. And my name is Julie Wolpe-Walker. I'm the R&D coordinator managing this program. And if you recall, or if you were at the solution provider training meetings, kickoff meetings about a month or so ago, I was there and I talked a bit about the program. And HBC is our partner in financing these loans for energy efficiency products. So what I'd like to do is invite Jeremy. He's here today and he's going to fill us in on the opportunity for solution providers and also on the process associated with it. I also want to make everyone aware that we're recording the webinar today and it will be made available for your reference and use on the AEP Ohio website. So without further, I'd like to welcome Jeremy Epstein. He's a senior associate with HBC Energy Capital. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Julie. And again, welcome everybody. We've got great attendance today. It looks like up to 40 participants now. Very excited that you've all decided to take some time out of your day to learn more about the Energy Efficiency Financing for Business program that we are providing through AEP Ohio. So format of today's webinar, I will present, kind of talk through what it is that we do and how we do it, and sort of connect that with the solution provider sales process. And then we'll leave plenty of time for Q&A. You should, in your webinar control module, have a Q&A button on there. So feel free to put questions in there as we go, and we will get to answering those once we get through the presentation. So without further ado, I'll just jump right in with a few facts. So some research on the energy efficiency world and project sales world shows that only a quarter of proposed projects actually get implemented. Of course, you know, there's probably some dud projects out there, but for the most part, the reason for projects that don't get implemented is something related to lack of capital. And so that lack of capital objection comes in a lot of different flavors. Could be that we, you know, hey, we just don't have, we don't have the money, you know, that's $10,000 or that's $100,000, and we just don't have that. Doesn't exist. Our company is strapped. Could be, you know, a lot of companies that finance actually have pretty ample capital budgets, but they don't want to allocate, or they have trouble allocating their capital budget to making an energy efficiency improvement. That capital budget is oftentimes reserved for activities that are more related to the core business operations. So if they make widgets, it's to buy another machine to make more widgets, not to put in new lights in an HVAC system that can be harder to allocate money for. So that's where third-party capital and financing comes in and becomes a great sales tool for solution providers to offer to their customers. Problem is, I think there's a lot of reasons to not offer financing or to not make this part of your sales process. Financing is a specialized world that you know, you may not be 100% comfortable communicating in. There's a lot of jargon, a lot of terminology that gets thrown around, and you know, unless you live and breathe this stuff like I do, it can be daunting. Sometimes your customers might have, you know, quote unquote, a bank that they use. That bank may or may not have the right type of financing for to get the project done. And we can talk in more detail about, you know, the sort of pros and cons of using a local bank versus the group of lenders that we work with. You're not sure that your customer is going to be approved. It can be kind of an awkward situation to say, hey, look, you're not approved. When you have a third party like ourselves doing that, we can help facilitate greater levels of approval and work through a project that may not be approved on the first go. The paperwork can be an issue. You know, there's some back and forth. There's extra contracts on top of your existing sales process. So there's a lot of reasons why financing can be a difficult thing to add into your process and make things less easy for you. Just to go one step further on that, what if your customer would like to apply their incentives towards the financing? They've had a recent bankruptcy or a newer business. What if your project's $12,000 or $12 million? Each one of these types of situations is going to require a different lending product and a different lender that will be most likely to approve that project and approve it at the best rates. So there's a lot to know. There's a lot of relationships to build with lenders in order to know that you've always got the best form of financing for any given project. And that's more than most solution providers have time to do. So as a result, we've seen this issue across, multiple markets, and we built HBC Energy Capital. The whole point of HBC Energy Capital is to provide a one-stop shop solution to connect AEP Ohio solution providers, your projects to the right lenders and the right financing vehicle. So we are a single point of contact that you can form a relationship with, and we will handle providing quotes for your projects and taking those projects from proposal all the way to closing using third-party capital and financing to do so. So we are a one-stop shop financing solution for your projects. And the result, working with us, is that we aim to make financing easy. You don't have to guess which lender and which product are going to work best for your project. Send your project to us. We'll take a look. We'll talk you through it. We will put a proposal together that reflects that lending product and that lender and help you sell with the right form of financing. We can reduce concerns that your customers might not be approved. So we can look at any given project and have a decent idea of which lenders are most likely to approve it. But in the instance, and this does happen, that lender A is unable to approve a certain borrower, well, we can bring that project over to lender B or lender C. So we have multiple lenders working behind us that we are able to access to improve the approval rates of borrowers seeking credit approval. And then once a customer is approved for financing, the work doesn't end there. There are closing documents to sign. For some of the larger projects, there may be additional documentation to provide. And so understanding what that documentation is and knowing who is sort of up next in the order of operations to sign something, it's a lot to manage. We take that off your plate. We'll help you keep track of that process and keep that project moving along so that you can focus on what you do best, which is selling more energy efficiency projects and getting those projects installed. So not to harp, but just one more slide on the benefits to solution providers. We provide custom financing for your projects and reduce the hassle. Get more of your projects to cash flow. I do want to pause on that term, cash flow. When I say cash flow, what I mean is that the monthly energy cost savings associated with that efficiency project exceed the monthly loan payment associated with that project. So if they're saving $1,000 a month, let's say their monthly payment is $800 a month, then that project cash flows. That means that customer has zero out-of-pocket expense, is getting new efficient equipment, and has $200 extra in their pocket every month from day one. So that is sort of the situation that we aim for. That's typically our goal when we're developing financing proposals for you, and it makes it a much easier sell on your end to say to your customer, hey, zero out of pocket. You're going to save money, have more money in your pocket in day one. You're going to get new equipment, new lighting, new HVAC, whatever it is that you happen to specialize in. We can facilitate progress payments. Progress payment is a partial payment to you as the solution provider. when the materials are ordered, so that, you know, if the install is going to last a month or two, you can get at least part of that full project cost back to you before the project is completed, so that you're not out that amount during that time. So that is something that we can help facilitate. When the project is complete, that is typically when you would receive the remainder or the full project cost. That money will come from the lender to you via ACH payment in most cases, unless you need something different. And that happens very quickly upon project completion, within a couple days. There's no cost to offer our service. You know, we are engaged with AEP Ohio to provide our service across its territory and to all solution providers. So we are here courtesy of AEP Ohio and here for you. So yeah, we don't charge you per se to engage with us. And you can focus on what you do best. Again, you can have this great source of financing behind you, still maintain your normal sales process, just with an extra tool in your cap to present to customers. So let's get a little bit into the nuts and bolts of what it is that we're able to finance and the types of projects that we can work with. It's a pretty broad list. Project sizes can go down to $1,000. We haven't seen any at that level, but it certainly is possible. Up to, you know, the very large multi-million-dollar projects. You know, the lender and the lending instrument may vary quite a bit, you know, as you run through the project sizes, but we can handle all sizes currently. Finance terms. The typical sweet spot for financing terms are from, I would say, we typically quote at between 3 and 5 years, but depending on the project's payback, we can extend those terms in some cases up to 12 years or down to a single year term if the customer wants to see that. And then our rates typically start around 4.99%. For your typical commercial project. For some municipal projects, the rates will start at closer to 2.5 to 2.75% for municipal utility, or sorry, municipal university, school, hospital type customers. As far as technologies, all measure types, all measures that AEP Ohio provides incentives for are fair game and can be financed through HBC Energy Capital. And then the instruments that we work with. The main instruments that we provide as financing vehicles are the capital and tax-exempt municipal lease. And that's going to be the vast majority of projects. Those close quickly. You know, many times a single page of application paperwork, if that, to get a customer approved. But we can also provide service agreements and property assessed clean energy where it's available. Just to give you an idea of sort of how these projects break down in terms of relative use, you can see the capital lease is by far the most common financing instrument that we're engaged with. And so I'm going to move on to what our process looks like. I think I alluded to this a little bit earlier, but I want to provide a little more detail. It's a 3-step process. First step being to match. So we are matching the right financing, type of financing, and the source of financing to your project. So that begins with you engaging with us, telling us about your project, whether that is through our online finance request form, giving us a call, or emailing us with either an audit report, some sort of scope of work that details specifics of the project, what is the cost, what are the expected savings, what are the measures installed. And then with that, we can begin working on finding the right type of financing for you. Within 2 days, 2 business days, we can typically turn around a indicative financing proposal. So that is an unapproved financing offer It is based on what we know about our lenders and the types of rates that they offer. And I'm actually going to flip forward for a second to show you an example here. This is an example of the indicative financing proposal. And so this would be something that we can provide to you at the stage before the customer is approved, but it is provided to you as a sales tool to help you show your customers exactly what that financing is going to look like. So you can see in the top right, there's a total project cost, a utility incentive, a net financed amount, as well as an estimated interest rate. There's some project savings metrics. We went for simplicity, and we've gotten great feedback on this form that the simplicity really works well. So annual savings is a number that we would get from your report, and then we just provide some variations on that figure. Sort of a 10-year savings, what can that customer save in energy costs over 10 years? And then if they delay for 6 months, what are the energy cost savings that they are missing out on? In the red. And then finally, we've got the project financing estimates. Those are set apart by term. So we've got a 4, 5, and 6 year term. What we like to do is show that sort of breaking point on the project where it would go from a negative net monthly cash flow to a positive one. So the 4-year customer is still paying more for the financing than they're saving, but at 5 years, suddenly they're going to have extra money in their pocket, no money down, and they're saving more on a monthly basis than they are spending on the financing. So we typically see that customers are attracted to the shortest term at which the project actually cash flows. So I'm going to pop back to the process. Once you've put this indicative proposal in front of your customer and gotten a verbal nod, any sort of interest by the customer to take it a step further and actually get approved for financing, you're going to let us know about that, and we will we'll get some information on the business. It can be as simple as a legal business name in many cases, and work to get that customer approved for financing. Once the project is approved, we will return closing documents to your customer, facilitate their signatures, and notify you when that process is complete so that you can schedule your install. Once the install is complete, we sort of move over to the end of the process, at which point the install is completed. The customer verifies that they are happy with the install, and you will be paid by automatic funds transfer. So that's sort of the typical process. Although each project can be a little bit different, but that's a pretty good description of what you can expect in working with us. As I said earlier, there are a number of different ways to engage with us. Number one, you can fill out our online finance request form, and I can show you that here. If I flip screens over, that is on our website, and we have an AEP Ohio Business Programs page. There's some information on the program here. This will link you back to the AEP site, and then this is our online finance request form. Enter in your information. If you are a solution provider, you'd click here. Tell us some information about your project. If you have documents to upload, you can upload them there. Those are typically the most important things that you can provide, because that'll tell us more about the project, costs, savings, total project costs, etc. And then hit submit. That comes to my inbox, and we will get started on it. If we needed more information, we will certainly follow up with you if you provided your contact info there. You can always email us directly or give us a call, and all of that contact information will be listed on the next and the last slide. We will PDF this presentation, and that will come out to you guys shortly, so that you've got a copy of this with all of that contact information on it. And finally, we've got an updated AEP Ohio website landing page. I can show you that real quick. That's got a lot of great information on it. There's a couple of fact sheets to download if you want handouts to give to your customers, a link over to our site, contact info to reach us, as well as our general email address. So another way to figure out how to reach us is right there. We've got our online request form, and then this is my personal email if you want to reach out after this. So, you know, if you are a solution provider working for AEP Ohio, you've got a sales team that you work with, you think they might be interested in learning more about this, feel free to reach out, and I'd be happy to schedule, you know, a repeat of this webinar for your, you know, tailored specifically for your sales team. And, you know, we can talk about how we can best work together on the types of projects that, that you guys sell. So I'd be happy to do that. And yeah, I think at this point, if there are questions, I think we're ready to jump into the Q&A portion. Hopefully I haven't talked too long and lost anybody. There is a Q&A button on your webinar screen, so you can enter your questions in there, and we can begin that portion of the presentation. There are currently no questions. Julie, do you have any questions or anything you want to bring up at this point?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Jeremy. I just want to make sure that the solution providers understand that it's important to, you know, make sure our customers are kept informed of the process, where things are at. Whether it's you're ordering the equipment, whether you're waiting for loan docs from Jeremy, you know, wherever it is at in the process, we want to make sure that customers' experience is really handled well. We also want to make sure that solution providers understand and that customers understand that equipment has to be, the measured life of the equipment has to be lower than the loan, or I'm sorry, exceed the loan term. Right. So if your equipment is 5-year measure life, you know, you cannot have a 10-year loan on that piece of equipment. So we need to make sure that that's the case. When you're looking to be cash flow positive, I don't think it's an issue to do that, but I just want to make sure folks understand that we cannot exceed that measure life of the equipment. Another item I want to make sure that solution providers understand is that when you're providing the information, if you're doing that for the customer, just as you would with your business application, if you're filling that in for prescriptive, you know, we don't guarantee that incentive until it goes through our process and you receive a reservation letter. So, and that still stays the same, as well as, you know, the customer being an AEP Ohio customer. It has to go through and be approved by that particular program. So just be aware of that. And I think that's all I have right now. Jeremy, I see we do have 2 questions.
Yep, we've got a couple of questions coming in. Happy to just jump in. I'll read off the first one from Laura Holmberg. Will you finance the entire project or only the products that are rebate eligible? So we finance all parts and labor associated with the project. So, you know, everything it takes to get that project installed is what we can finance. Because of, you know, we are working through the AEP Ohio business programs, we aim to really finance products that are rebate eligible. Julie, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, I would. That is correct, Jeremy. Yeah. I just wanted to clarify that it is product and labor, but not internal labor, not customer internal labor, will not be financeable.
Correct. Okay, there's another question for new construction. It can be difficult to split out the energy efficient portion of the cost. How does HBC handle that? So if there are certain measures that you'd like to split out of a new construction project, we would just have to, finance those measures specifically, obviously, as well as the labor associated with getting those elements installed. So hopefully that answers the question, is that we would just have to break out exactly which pieces of equipment will be financed through us. And that's how we would handle that.
Right. So I'd like to add to that also, just in general, the financing program was developed for the business, efficient products for business, process efficiency, data centers, and new construction in the renovation more area than total new construction. And basically because it's a year-to-year program, we're on a year-to-year program basis now, and typically new construction will go multiple years. So it's not to say that it wouldn't be considered if it's an approved measure in our portfolio. We would consider it, but that's pretty much what the program was designed for. But we can have conversations about, as long as it's approved measured. Like someone asked the question at the last webinar that we had about CHP projects. This program was not designed for CHP projects. Those could be millions of dollars. However, it is part of our portfolio, and we could have we would have a conversation about it. We're not guaranteeing anything, but we'd be open to it, discussion about it.
Great. Well, we just got another question. Thanks, Laura. Will this be a separate monthly payment, or are the payments added to the customer's AEP Ohio bill? So, very good question. This is not an on-bill finance program. So this is a financing contract entered into by the borrower and the lender. We facilitate that contract, and you will be paid as a result of it. But the monthly payments are made directly from the borrower, aka your customer, to the lender. And that money does not flow through AEP Ohio in any way. Any other questions, folks? There's good questions. Please keep them coming if you have more. I think this is a related question. Is it on-bill financing? So again, no, this is not related to the energy, the monthly billing statements that AEP Ohio provides. This is financing that is paid directly from the borrower to the lender. It does not flow through the utility in any way. Great, we've got a whole bunch more questions coming in. What happens if the customer stops paying the lender? It would be difficult to remove the lighting system. That is correct. And yes, that lighting system is usually the stated collateral on the loan. If the customer stops paying the lender, yes, they will go into default. They certainly want to avoid that situation if they can. Depending on the lighting system that's been installed, the lender may consider removing it, but I do agree in most cases that's actually not going to be a cost-effective course of action for the lender. So that's going to vary on a case-by-case basis, but I mean, we all know that it's something to definitely avoid, is to stop making your payments and to go into default. So obviously that would negatively affect the customer's credit rating, et cetera. So that's why we underwrite, our lenders underwrite on the borrowers, and if there are questions about their ability to repay, they will either require a personal guarantee, or they will simply not approve that customer. And so we aim to avoid that situation as much as possible through upfront underwriting. How quick is the turnaround in getting lease docs for customers? Great question. So for a typical lease, once the customer is approved, those lease docs take between 1 and 2 days to be drawn up. Those are custom lease docs based on who the borrower is and the amount of the project and the term of the project, so or the term of the financing. So I would say 1 to 2 days is a reasonable timeline to expect those. So, you know, in sort of a best case scenario, you could on Monday propose a project. Later that day, we could get you an indicative. Customer could be approved by late Tuesday, and you know, they could have their lease docs signed and executed by later in the week. So, sort of a best case scenario. You know, the whole thing could take place in the course of a week or you know, 4 days. Raymond Hayes asks, how long does it take to get a full approval aside from the 2-day non-committal? As far as the 2-day non-committal, I think you mean like the 2-day wait to get up to 2 days for our indicative estimate. Once the customer has stated their interest in being approved for financing, it is, like I said earlier, typically within 1 to 2 days to get those documents. Okay, but the question is more about how long does it take to get the full approval? Assuming that the customer can be approved, it's you know, about a day to get that customer approved for financing.
So this is Julie. I just want to clarify that there's a separate application process. So when you go out to the website and you're putting the information in for quotes, that's one process. In order to do an application, that's going to be a separate form for the customer to complete. Is that correct, Jeremy? Right?
That's correct. And that's, you know, we try to make that as painless as possible for you and your customers. For many of the projects under 50K, we can get a customer approved if they have good credit with simply a business legal name and business legal structure. You know, so ABC Lighting Company LLC would be an example of that. So that's sort of an example of the minimal information we might need. For larger projects, you know, up to 150K, it's a 1-page application. And for much larger projects, there's going to be additional due diligence and financials that the lenders are going to need to look through. And I would say in about 1/3 of the projects that aren't approved right off the bat, we can get them then approved with a personal guarantee. And that's basically, we would revert to that 1-page application just to get a signature on it, which amounts to that personal guarantee. And then the lenders would look at that again, and in many cases, they can then approve it. These are great questions, guys. I appreciate them. Any others out there? I've run out of my list.
Well, this is Julie again. I think that.
And yes, we will send this PowerPoint out by email at some point after.
Actually, there's going to be recording of the webinar on the AEP Ohio website that Jeremy showed earlier. So you will be able to go back and reference it. And if you have any questions other than that, I mean, you can just give one of us a call.
Yep, and Julie, if you don't mind, if folks do want a PDF, is it okay if they email me? And
Absolutely. We
Okay.
can send it out as well. I was just trying to avoid putting it in everyone's email box. But
Right.
it could be both places. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Yep, so we can do that. Let's just say, folks, because we haven't figured out if we're going to send this out to everybody, if you are looking for a copy, please just email me and I will follow up with that shortly. So let's go that route for now. Renee asks, how do we coordinate the rebate with the financing? That's a great question. So that utility incentive can be used in two different ways. The way that we like to use it through the financing is to have that incentive assigned to the solution provider, and then we would reduce the total financed amount by that utility incentive amount. And so let's just take an easy example. If it's a $10,000 project with $1,000 utility incentive, the net financed amount would be $9,000. And what that does is you're made whole as a solution provider on the project, in part through the financing and in part through the utility incentive. And the customer sees a reduced financed amount, which allows them to achieve lower monthly payments on the financing. And so that project has a much better chance of achieving a cash flow situation, which is always a more attractive sales proposition.
So, and the customer would be required to sign over that incentive to the solution provider.
Correct. And so, and the, that is always an option. That's one way we like to go. If you feel like, the customer would like to just keep that incentive as their own, cash bonus and just finance the entire project cost, that is definitely, always an option as well. It's sort of the default pathway. But that's something that we can discuss when you share your projects, and we can go with plan A or plan B on that. Renee asked who gets the incentive. Yeah, again, if it's assigned to the solution provider, you would receive the incentive. If not, then that incentive typically goes to the customer. And Raymond, I should have your email address in the registration table, so I'm happy to follow up with a PDF. Any other questions, folks? Oh, we got another one. Okay, has AEP Ohio worked out a deal with HBC to keep the interest rate low? That's a great question. So the interest rates that we provide are market interest rates. We carefully select our lenders for their ability to approve certain types of projects and to provide great interest rates. There is no sort of buy down or rate reduction provided through AEP that results in lower rates through what we do.
So yes, so this is Julie again. AEP Ohio has developed this program to help customers finance the energy efficiency project. So we're trying to help customers streamline the process, avoid any barriers to our program. We do not, as Jeremy mentioned, at this point, we are not buying down any interest. We still provide rebates. So in order for our programs to be cost effective, we are not able to do that. So we have to leave that financing piece as is. But that is the way it operates today. I think the advantage is with this program that, HBC Energy Capital is looking at multiple lenders. And with a large quantity of projects, which the goal is, you can typically get better rates for our customers. So that's why we brought this process to our portfolio, or this program to the portfolio.
That's right. Another question came in about early payoff or prepayment. As it's known, typically no, there is no penalty per se for early payoff. Most of our lenders don't do any sort of reamortization. So, if you pay part of that loan off early, it doesn't necessarily change the monthly payments moving forward. That said, for most of our lenders, there is no penalty to make an early payment if somehow the customer comes into some cash, or they decide to use their utility incentive and put that towards the financing. And these are great questions, guys. Feel free to keep them going, and I'm happy to stay on the line for a little while. If you'd like to follow up in person, feel free to give me a call or send me an email in the near future, and we can follow up that way. But otherwise, if you're free to go at this point. I'm not going to be presenting anything additional to what I already did, but I will hang out and for the next 13 minutes or so to help answer questions as they come up.
And I would just like to say thank you to everyone for joining us for the webinar. We hope you feel it was informative.